Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and another vlog. So it is currently Wednesday the 29th of January. I'm sat in my dining room. I've got my notepad and a few notes written down. I look very official like a news reporter. I've got a cup of tea, which is essential. And I thought today, because it's a wet, windy day and there's not much riding or outdoor stuff going on with the horses at the moment, that I would do how much my horse costs me each month. And this is just going to be for the basics. And so for those of you who don't know, I live in Cornwall in the UK, and it's a lovely part of the world. I'm very lucky, and I'll just explain a bit about our setup for those of you who haven't seen previous vlogs about where I keep Maisie. So I moved her in August last year to a friend's farm, and she is kept on grass livery there, so that makes it a little bit cheaper than a lot of other places around here for grazing and livery. Where I had her before, the livery yard closed down and I think I was paying £130 a month. So this is just on, it's just to give you a rough idea of how much it's costing me, and this is for just the basics, like I say. So I'll talk you through them, and then we'll tally it up and get a round figure for a monthly cost over winter for Maisie. And of course, inevitably with horses, there's going to be extras. There's going to be things that we weren't expecting to fork out for them, and things that, I don't know, you might see something you fancy, a little treat or something, and why not? And what I thought I would do is there's going to be a me up the farm and there's a me here. So me up the farm will just be showing you a little image of something, and then it'll come back to me explaining the cost of it. So just to make it a little bit more interesting than me just sat here with my notepad and my cup of tea, chatting away. Grass livery, although this field at the moment is like the sacrifice field, so there's not a lot of grass. They do have the hay out and stable to use. That's the second stable that I was saying about, that's currently used for storing a few things. For monthly livery, grass livery for Maisie, it is £85 a month. And here is the expensive beast herself. Just come in for a bit of food while we wait for the farmer to come to deliver you your next supper. Nice big bale of hay. But she's worth it. Honey. So my biggest outgoing with Maisie each month is actually her insurance, and that costs me £105 a month. But I would not be without it, and I would strongly recommend that anybody who's got a horse take out insurance, because in the nearly 4 years that I've owned Maisie, I've had to make a few claims and it has cost thousands of pounds. So if I hadn't had her insured, I would be in a lot of debt right now. So things like her fractured splint bone that needed surgery, I can't remember the exact price, but I think that was coming up for about £5,000 for that. She had treatment for gastric ulcers, and that was, I think, a couple of £1,000s. So without the insurance, I would be in big trouble. So I would not be without it. She's insured with Pet Plan Equine, and they have been brilliant. Just putting that out there, I don't get any kind of freebies from them, unfortunately, because that would be great. But yes, they've been brilliant. So insurance is my biggest expense each month, but one that I would not be willing to compromise on, because we need it. And Maisie is quite accident prone, so it's definitely a priority for us. Shoes. So sometimes these are attached to your horse. Sometimes you find them around the field. Sometimes you never do find them, and it remains a mystery. So yes, this one luckily I found, and it's going back on tomorrow. We'll see how long for. So yes, as you can see, Maisie has lost a shoe yet again. Farrier's due out tomorrow, but he comes out normally for his routine farriery. Oh, that's a word, isn't it? Farriery. He comes out every 7 weeks. So that costs me £85 every 7 weeks. Now what I've done, because Maisie inevitably, probably, I don't know, I might be exaggerating it, but it seems to me every time in between shoeings she manages to lose a shoe. And I know she doesn't really, but what I've done is add an extra £20 to that, because quite often, and more often than not, he will be coming back out in between to stick a shoe back on. So that works out at £105 every 7 weeks. So I kind of did my maths, and that's £65 a month. So that's what that cost me. She's shod on all 4 most of the time. Most of the time 3. But yeah, that's what that cost me each month for that. Voila! Maisie's feed. So next up we have feed. So Maisie is fed on the Bailey's Low Cal Balancer, and that is £31.50 a month, and that does last about a month. So that's what that is. That was easy to work that one out. And the Dengi, I never know how you pronounce it, Ulcer Light, she gets her a bag every 6 weeks or thereabouts. So that's £19.20 for the sack of that, 20 kilogram sack. And I did my maths again, and that works out about £13.80 per month. And as if on cue, large hay bales. Dinner sorted, isn't it? Dinner sorted. And then she currently gets through with her 2 friends a large round bale of hay. It's around a week. I think it's working out. We've just started doing it because we were feeding little bales of haylage, and they were working out really expensive. So we moved over to the hay a few weeks ago, and it works out once a week. It's costing about £12, and that's a bale that's £36 split between 3 of us that keep our horses there. So that's about £12 a week. Works out £55 a month, because I've added an extra couple of pounds on there because I think it might kind of be a day or so before, so just under a week some weeks, depending on the weather and just how hungry they are. So then of course there's things that I haven't added into my monthly outgoings for Maisie that she has annually or twice a year, depending on what they recommend. So her teeth and vaccinations. She's vaccinated against flu and tetanus, and last year, because our equine dentist was having a baby, I had her teeth and vaccinations both done by our vet, and that worked out quite expensive actually, a lot more than it would have been to have it done separately, because they gave Maisie a bit of mild sedation. So I think off the top of my head, because I've deleted the invoice now from my emails, it was about £250 including the call out, so that's quite pricey. I think normally it costs about £50 for a dentist call out, and it gets a bit cheaper if you have more than one horse done on the yard. And the vaccinations, I don't know, probably about 70-80 quid maybe, depending on again the call out. If you're sharing with friends, it makes it a lot cheaper, doesn't it? So yeah, that did cost me a lot more last year. And then we've got physio. So Maisie roughly has the physio every 6 months, and that's usually just for a routine treatment for her, just to check if there's any areas of tightness or anything like that. She enjoys that, so that's usually every 6 months, I would say, and that costs, I think now, £60, so that's each time. Maisie's saddle, she's currently in a Wintec cob changeable gullet saddle, although she's nothing like a cob. And that, for the call out to check that, I think it's £50, and kind of get that done, I'd say every few months, or if I think there's a change in her shape or I'm concerned there's something not quite right, so that's an extra with that. So it's £50 each time to come out, and then plus any changes that they need to make, like any flocking changes or things like that. So that's that one. I also I think I've put in the extras really is wormer, because I do worm counts with Maisie, so every 8 to sort of, I don't know, 8 to 12 weeks I suppose, I do a worm count, and based on those results I do the wormer if need be. So I've not added that into the monthly thing because it does depend, but there's that as well as sort of an extra. So just adding up the basics and not including the teeth vaccinations, physio or saddle check that I just spoke about, Maisie cost me, drum roll, a grand total of £355.30 a month. And like I say, that is just for the basics. So it is a lot of money, isn't it? Horses are not cheap. And I think I keep her pretty basic compared to some places. So, you know, that's a lot of money, isn't it, that we spend on our horses? But hopefully, like you guys, the pleasure of owning the horses outweighs the expense. So in summary, I would say that horses are an expensive hobby, but I think we all know that anyway, don't we? But I wouldn't change a thing. I think it's a way of life. Having had horses in my life since I was little, my mum had a pony that I used to ride when I was tiny, so I've grown up around horses, and I just can't see me doing anything else and not having one in my life, really. As much as it probably would be a lot simpler sometimes, you know, I wouldn't change it. I love Maisie very much, and I don't begrudge spending the money each month. I hope that's given you a little insight into a bit more of my life with Maisie. And yeah, like I say, do let me know what you spend on your horses, or if you're not currently a horse owner, just let me know your thoughts. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. And otherwise, I will see you next week for another vlog. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but hopefully soon I'll be able to start getting out and riding, and we can go on some hacks and things together, and get out and about a bit more. So yeah, so lovely. Thanks for joining me. I was gonna say lovely to see you, but I can't see you. So yeah, take care, and see you next week.